Keep in mind, as far as franchises are concerned, Child's Play isn't high up there for me. As a matter of fact, I just powered through the entire 1 through 7, this guy right here, the entire franchise 1 through 7 for a project. And the one thing, as an expert, as somebody who follows horror franchises, my favorite being Friday the 13th, that kind of go astray, Child's Play is no different. But the difference between Child's Play and stuff like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, is there's been this one factor that's been in it start to finish. Don Mancini has seen it through. And the issue with Child's Play is it jumped the shark in a fashion that we've never seen before in a franchise. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Really, really not good. And they had to pivot when they came back and did a completely different type of film. It was a meta film. It was, hey, we're in the world of the filmmakers themselves, which was Wes Craven taking the franchise back and kind of steering things in a more admirable direction. That seems to be the thing. When your franchise gets a little silly, you restart. Halloween kind of does that a couple of times. It's never really a hard reset. They just kind of tiptoe away from a subplot, but it has gotten silly at times. It seems like Halloween, instead of restarting, they would just bring Jamie Lee back. Whereas Friday the 13th, my baby, every time they've done something silly, they've pivoted script-wise. I mean, after 6, it gets really, really out there, and plot and continuity are difficult to explain at the very least. But the difference between Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Child's Play is Child's Play, it's always been Don Mancini who's at least written the movie. He's directed a couple. So the excuse for the other franchises has been, well, it's somebody else's vision. They didn't really go the direction that I was leading it in, and so on and so forth. Whereas Child's Play really jumped the shark with Seed of Chucky, which, however you feel about that movie, it's a complete departure. I think Child's Play 1, 2, 3, the continuity from 1, 2 to 3 is strong. I mean, technically, you can watch the beginning of 2, the beginning of 3, and kind of know where the last one left off without even really needing to watch the previous film. Seed of Chucky finally deviates from that and takes liberties and goes in a really bizarre direction and does the meta thing that Nightmare on Elm Street did with New Nightmare, the filmmakers within the movie type thing. But New Nightmare was a bit of a standalone of sorts, where Seed is still trying to pick up where some of it left off and just kind of blurring the lines. And again, it's the same vision. It's Don Mancini who wrote Bride of Chucky and Don Mancini who wrote and directed Seed of Chucky. So it's his complete vision there for Seed. So to have confusion is really, really bizarre. Seed of Chucky, typically, in typical horror fashion, is the movie where you'd say, okay, we've run into the ground with ideas, time to pivot or reset, which Curse of Chucky appeared to be. But then you have the ending of Curse of Chucky, which kind of winks and lets you know that, oh, this is still somewhere in the middle of the timeline. And again, I just watched all 7, and I still cannot explain you what the last 3 or 4 movies, how that is. And again, coming from a Friday the 13th guy, I like to try sometimes. This is really hard. If Jennifer Tilly is in the world as Jennifer Tilly, and also like they did the Ocean's 12 thing where she looks like Jennifer Tilly, but it's actually Tiffany, and what? Which Curse, it seemed like a soft restart, a soft reboot of sorts. And then we get that interesting ending, and then Cult happens, and I don't know, it's not completely as silly as Seed, but it's just as unforgiving to the rest of the their franchise's rules. Now suddenly Chucky can do voodoo on just about anything with arms and legs. Like, that was another thing that was really strong about Child's Play. It was very, very consistent. You had to get Andy. You had to get Andy. You had to get Andy. Then for 4, it was the amulet. Then 5, I don't know, jizz in a cup for an actress who is somehow associated with the franchise. Curse, you know, the doll's back, so don't worry about it. Again, it felt like a soft reboot. And then Cult, it's just forget anything we've ever talked about. It's this now. Chucky is literally in multiple bodies at the same time, including a human. So with all that in mind, and the history of movies kind of tripping up and jumping the shark, again, you got 2 extra movies out of the Child's Play franchise that really should have reset. I guess kind of Curse was sort of that. It was sort of a reset, but getting this franchise away from somebody who, however you feel about Don Mancini, his vision is clouded. It doesn't seem like he has a vision is the best term I can use. You could factor in how decent Curse of Chucky is, but you have this seed cult sandwich that is just messy and really difficult to explain. And now you have a remake out of his hands, even though you're still getting the Child's Play TV show, which Don Mancini has something to do with. This is horror franchises 101. Things get sloppy, but there's still money to be made, so they pivot. They do a soft reboot, although this looks like a genuine hard reboot. And it's what the franchise deserves. It just comes with the territory. Welcome to Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Shit, Leprechaun did it recently. It just happens. Welcome. Now you're officially a horror franchise. The only thing that's troubling about this is that it's been one person's vision from start to finish. 1 through 7, Mancini's had a piece of writing, at the very least, in every one of these movies. So it's perplexing, to say the least. Clearly, there's money to be made in big-time horror franchises, and why not? Why not do Child's Play from a movie theater? First time in a couple of years, a couple of entries at least, and start over, start fresh. I mean, Halloween 2018, what is that? It's 1.5? I don't know what you call that. It's trendy. You're officially a big boy now, Child's Play. The franchise deserves this. You got what the franchise deserves. It's just accept it. It happens. It happens. Go back and watch Seed and Cult, and then come back to me, and please, in the comment section below, explain to me how Seed and Cult are part of the original 3, 4. I'll even throw Bride in there. How are they part of that rule book and lineage? Because Chucky jizzing in a cup, that was driving Britney Spears off the road. That was pretty low. And then Cult happens, and it's just all bets are off. Anything that you heard about what he needed to do is just gone. Whether or not you're excited for this franchise, the franchise earned this remake. I hate to say it, but it's just welcome to horror franchises. Again, if you disagree or you have some sort of correction, by all means, let me know down below, or let me know if there's another point in the film that can explain some of these last 2 or 3 rule deviations. I'm eager to learn, especially in time for the remake and in time for something else later on this year. But thanks for the time. I've been CP. Have a day.